Hello, it's Melissa, known as Stitchy Memories here on YouTube. I have been away for so long, and I'm going to do a few temporary videos here from the old shed, and then I will have some other videos at various locales. My current bedroom is so tiny there isn't even any room to put a computer or an iPad, or I'm on a twin bed. It's craziness. So basically I'll do kind of history, where I've been, and then we'll get into some more cross-stitch updates as we go. So basically I moved due to an injury, and could no longer be in a home where I had to go up to the second floor to take a shower. So I moved very quickly, had some movers come in, and basically all of my cross stitch had been kind of under my bed in canvas bags, various plastic containers for like scrapbooking, all sorts of those types of things, and basically kind of organized but put under the bed. Then I had the binders and a few things like that in a clothing armoire kind of on the bottom shelf, and then I had a few more odds and ends, tools, things like that in bags kind of at the end of the bed. So when the movers came and they helped me pack, because I was in a hurry and I was injured, so they kind of used those various bags as stuffing material into larger boxes, and so I have not had access to 99.9% of my cross stitch for over a year. I'm actually getting close to probably, well, it would be October of, what is it, 16, October of 2015. So just right when I was going gangbusters, getting busy, starting to get rotations, organization, really getting into renewed on doing FlossTube videos, kind of everything fell apart. And then I have moved, actually it would be before October 15. Yeah, anyway, and then I've moved about 3 times since. And my current location is not a permanent, so the majority of my big furniture actually is in the process of being moved into storage. And since I don't have an office in Craft Spot in my new place, this shed is going to be my new she cave. I guess is the best way to put it. There'll be no real fancy decor. I may put a wall of, I'm planning on putting my wall of cross stitch behind me in containers, whether that be plastic storage containers or whatever. I'm not planning on putting a lot of furniture in here, because this is not going to be utilized on a daily basis. I'm not gonna, anyway. Heat in Texas, you don't want to be outside in the shed, I'll just put it that way. Especially one that's metal. So from that, I have started in the moves, various moves. I would start unpacking a box, 2 boxes, whatever, and I would find cross stitch, and I would try to start putting all the cross stitch back together in one generalized location. And I have found what I hope is the majority of it. And so now what I'm going to probably do here in the she cave is use it to reorganize, reprioritize, resort, reinventory, and then kind of, once I have that done, I won't need to have the space of the she cave. All of my belongings will go to the storage with the rest of my things, but they'll be organized and I'll know where they're at. so that I can get to them a bag at a time to take to, you know, stitch at home or stitch with friends or stitch at a shop. The shop I was stitching at regularly closed. The shop I was going to try to start stitching at majorly does needlepoint, and I don't need to get into another needlecraft right now. So the one that I want to try to start going to is a little bit farther, but I love it, Stitch Niche. I can't wait to get into kind of the monthly meetups there, meet everybody, you know, spend some not only shopping time, but time getting some good stitching done. So that's kind of where that's at. My friend that I used to go stitch every week with has gotten married, and that has kind of put a damper on that for right now while they're in the honeymoon stage. I'm sure that we'll get back to stitching, if not every week, you know, maybe once a month or something. You know, I go to her place and she and I meet up somewhere and we do some stitching. The other lady I was going to stitch with has also had some injuries, so it's kind of like my stitchy bug has been, you know, between not really having anybody to stitch with, not really having a dedicated place to stitch, whether that's a shop or in my home. So I was staying with a friend and was really kind of getting into some stitching with her, kind of got her back into cross stitch, and then I had to move from there because of health issues. I couldn't keep traveling that far on a daily basis. So, you know, kind of the stitchy bug had kind of got reinvigorated around January of 16, and then by May, Stitch Mania, it was kind of already gone. So, and this poor computer really has not really had a lot of work. So I'm just sitting here getting used to all the things it's going to tell me, you know, updates and things that I need to do for it. I still do not know how to edit videos. I'm going to try to start learning how to use. There is a software that I found on this computer, a video pad by NCH. Don't know if it's worth trying to do. My little she cave, I do not have internet access. I'm going to have to kind of make the videos and then load them over to another medium to take and upload them. So I don't quite know how all of this is going to work right now. It's in the planning stages, I guess is the best way to put it. I did find a bag of cross stitch, and it's one that a bag that a dear friend gave me, and I love it. And I don't know if I ever showed it in any of the videos before, but I kind of use it as my go-to carry stitch bag, definitely to her house and to most of the shops that I stitched at. I am an animal lover. I've had many careers in my life, but I occasionally do some pet sitting for people, friends and family, things of that nature, or friends I call family. And so even though I don't have a cat, and even though dogs are my favorite, I do love cats. And so she got me this beautiful bag. And I don't know if you can see the little kitty cats. 1, 2, 3 little kitty cats. And a lot of you may recognize the name. I keep the little tag on it because I love the tag too. They're Laurel Birch design. I kind of love her kind of, I don't know what you call this, contemporary, Art Deco. I don't know enough about art to know the technical names. But here's the little tag. So cute. So now, of course, I've told her she's got to try and find one with dogs. But she purchased, I guess there are some designs that Laurel Birch did of, I think, 3 dogs standing on top of each other or something like that. So, I'm excited to kind of see those happen someday. So this bag has a mismatch of stuff in it. It's not very organized. But I thought that kind of what I do is as I come across something, excuse me. I was afraid that was going to happen. Okay. I do have respiratory issues, so the dustiness of the she cave is probably going to cause me to have these intermittent breakthrough coughing spells. I do apologize ahead of time. Okay. So this is one that I'm in the process of attempting to kit up again. This is Voice of the Shepherd. It's a beautiful pattern by Told in the Garden, and I've already stitched this, but I made an error, and so it became the Shepherdess because I never got the little shepherd boy on it. I didn't get half the animals. I'm missing a building, a whole part of the fence. So it's, but I love the pattern so much that I want to redo it. And what I want to do is I'm going to have an Amish wall, for sake of a better word. These are Amish inspired as far as I'm concerned. Of the completed, correctly done cross stitches framed, but then the Voice of the Shepherdess, which is going to be the inaccurate one, I kind of want to do on a lower, small, round table, you know, and kind of do a tablescape kind of thing. So far this is the fabric I'm thinking of using, and this is Pickled, and it is kind of a fabric I really enjoy. I know that it's kind of bright for you know, for a more, it's not primitive, but a more basic kind of piece. Most of these were done on natural and raw, you know, tans, browns, light beiges. But because Voice of the Shepherdess was done on Pickled, I kind of want to keep with a in the greens theme. So I know that I have like Pickled and Evergreen and a couple of other colors that I'm going to use, and then I'm going to intersperse in some naturals and raws and things of that nature. So that one is in the process of being kitted. I need to get some threads for it. I'm sure I have all the threads. It's DMC. I just have to find them. And so this is another one that I want to put on that wall, and then this is the Harvest. And the reason I'm kind of bending this back is part of the pattern is showing on here. And I will eventually take these out of bags and show them when I actually get them kitted and start stitching them. And this I'm choosing to do, it was done on a blue, I believe. Let's see, it was done on charcoal or sage or cobblestone Ada. But I kind of like this rosemary kind of tone. It stays in the greens, but it has a kind of gray tone to it. I don't know how these will hang. I'm anticipating a very big wall, so we'll just have to see. Let's see if I can cover up enough of the pattern that I can just kind of show this way. That one also needs threads. The next one is Brown Swiss Dairy. And I love each and every one of these. I'm going to stitch all of them. And then I'm going to do this on Rustico Natural. Try and cover up the, there we go. I don't know if you can see the color. But this is very much a natural kind of tone. What I think most of these are probably done on, although this one was done on wheat or sage or parsley or summer khaki in her originals. Again, that one just needs floss. And I think the reason I had these in the bag is I had a project that had a huge amount of DMC with it in its bag at one point in time. And I think I was going to pull from that bag to kit these and then see what all I needed, but it all has been separated again. The next one is the Raspberry Homecoming. And my friend Regina loved this one so much that she now is going to do all of the Homecoming series. So she's kind of jumped on the Told in the Garden bandwagon with me. And originally this was done on parsley or sage Ada from Witchelt. And when I look at the picture, it looks very green. So, you know, I guess I'm going to go with my standard Belfast Pickled. And this, as I see on the tag, this is Picture This Plus fabric. Since I've worked with it once, I know I like it. I was able to find quite a bit of it on discount at one point in time, and I got all of it that I could. This is a kit that is missing. Okay, this is a kit that has the floss, the fibers, and is missing the fabric. So I don't know if I pulled the fabric to use on something else, or if I pulled the fabric out to start it. I know that at one point in time I had this on either one of the Stitch Manias or one of the other stitch-alongs that I was in. Okay, so there's multiple things in this bag. Okay, so this is Welcome. So I need to find its fabric, and it was a Dimensions kit, so it was Ada. I spent a period of my life, I've had multiple jobs at the same time, so this is all going to sound real funny when I say, oh, I've done this, and then I've also done this, and also done that. Just keep in mind, I'm usually a multi-job person. But I worked in a winery for about 12 years, and I have a passion for local agriculture and small business, and so that was just a perfect realm for me to help. And so I have to have something, you know, wine related in all of my stitching. So this is going to be Welcome Friends, and or they have another version down here, put Welcome to and then your name. I might do this. I might do Welcome to, you know, my name's house, or I haven't quite decided, but it's big enough that I'll be able to get plenty of stitching in and then worry about how I'm going to title the bottom of it later on. But this one, I need to find its fabric. Okay, so what was kind of wound up in the middle of all this, this was on a one of the sales. This is the Scotties and Westies bookmark kit, and I actually have some stitches in it. I don't know how many stitches. It looks like, if I hold it the right way, looks like I have some border done. Yeah, looks like I have some border. So, not much border. So this is something small enough, obviously stitch in hand, that I might be able to pull this to the side and actually maybe stitch on something. This bag is my color guide and first page working copy of Amorous by Tilton Craft. I forget the artist name. I love the artist. I think it's Grinston, but I'm not sure. I'll check on that. It's kind of the steampunk Cocker Spaniel, Victorian. I love it. It'll take me the rest of my life, but when I find the rest of its fibers and it's the project itself, and I know this one I was working on when I was staying with my friend, so it's got to be more out than packed. It's just a matter of, it's got to be towards the top of something, I guess I'll put it that way. Okay, this was a fun little pattern. This is Welcome Spring by Little House Needleworks, and it was one of those complimentary charts that if you purchased the 3 colors of fibers that they use, then you got the chart for free. And then you could also purchase I believe there were some little bees and things that we all decided to do. This was one that at the cross stitch shop that I used to go to, a number of us decided to do this, and we're doing within the large group of us that decided to do this, there was a small group that had started a stitch along, and there were 3 of us in that group, and so we started stitching this. However, some people in the larger part of the group decided that you want more than just spring. You want summer and autumn and winter. So we were also playing with fabrics, and the first fabric that we all kind of chose to use was a green and white, or celery and white, gingham fabric. And we decided to get ladybugs instead of stitching all of the bugs that are on it, which I think are bees, but anyway, we did adjustments. So I found some other colors of the same gingham fabric. So there's this blue and white, and here's this raw. And then I thought I had a gray and white. Oh, there I do have the gray and white's inside the blue and white. A gray and white. So I have decided that I'm going to do, and I think somewhere I have pink and white. And I know they made yellow and white. The yellow and white was very, very thin, and one of the ladies did do a second one of these on the yellow and white, and she did it with reds. And it was beautiful, tones of red, but it was so thin, the fabric was so thin, she really felt that she needed to heavily back it, and even though she did, pin stitching and things to make the back better, she still wasn't happy with how much of what was happening on the back you could see on the front. So I stayed away from the yellow. I did get the gray and white and the blue and white for definitely cut to do 2 more. Then I saw this raw and kind of like it as an option maybe for the autumn one. I'm thinking, okay, it was supposed to be spring, was supposed to be the first one. I ended up doing welcome, I think summer, as my first one. Somewhere I will find it. It is done. It is completed stitching. It is not fully finished. Somewhere I will find it, and I do believe I ended up doing Welcome Summer as my first one on the green. Because I kind of looked at green as more of summer, and I was in the back of my mind holding on to pink for spring, if I got the pink. So then that made blue and gray left for one of them for winter and one for fall. So I was going to do the blue for winter and the gray for fall. Then I found the raw. So I may move winter to gray, fall to this, and save blue for something else. Or I may change it all around. But I did get some of the ladybugs already. I got some blue ladybugs, some cranberry ladybugs, and some pink ladybugs. And these are just Jabco little bugs. And so that kind of was leading me to putting kind of cranberry for winter, pink for spring, no, cranberry for fall, pink for spring, and blue for winter. We'll see how it goes when I find the rest of the stuff. I did love the colors that you needed to purchase for this, and I'm torn between using the same 2 base colors for the sheep and the grass tones, which is Classic Colorworks Shabby Sheep and Classic Colorworks Prairie Grass, and then just changing the flowers and the words. This is Sugar Plum was for the first one. Maybe changing this color for each of the subsequent seasons, or changing all 3 for each one. I think that is why this is in this bag, is so that I can go shopping around at Classic Colorworks next time I'm out of LNS and see what kind of colors are available, and make some decisions with these fabrics that I have here, and somewhere the pink, wherever it is, the pink and white. This is a project I recently just finished. I thought the project that I started with the memories, which I think is in one of my first videos, and then the lighthouse and the rose were my very first projects. I forgot back in the way back time, I did start some cross stitches. I started one for my fiance about love. It is with my parents somewhere in their belongings on the East Coast. This one I started when my sister was having her last baby, and he is now going to high school, if that tells you anything. And I did not know anything about, you know, the back. It's a mess. I carried over everywhere. I went through this weekend trying to kind of clean up some of this back, to kind of wrangle in some of the threads, to kind of pull them back towards the center. But this is Noah, and it's a Craft With Me kit, I think. The back stitching is not good, and there's some few mistakes, but I love it. So I just finished up this little fish, this sun, kind of wrangling the back, and then some back stitching that had not been completed on the bottom here this last week when I found this. How I'm going to finish it, I don't know. I haven't quite got that far. And what I did with the pattern, I don't know. So, this is one I started and finished at my friend's house. I told you about. I used to go to her house every week. It's from the Fragments in Time, but I don't know which year, and I don't remember the name of the pattern. I have it written down somewhere. I'll find it. And this is just on a scrap piece of linen. And I used most of the called for colors, but there's a few that just I didn't have in my stash that I could find. As I said, my stash is kind of everywhere. She had a few things in her stash I kind of borrowed as far as fibers. And then on a pattern that she got for me from Prairie Schooler called Where There Are Bees, there is a number of different bees on it. And so I just took one of the bees and put it on the bottom of this, and I anticipate making a scissor fob out of this at some point in time. I do not have all of the rest of the Fragments in Time, so I don't know that I'll be doing a dough bowl with all of them or ornaments with all of them, so I'm not quite sure. Although this is a stitching completed item, I don't know how it's going to be fully finished at this point. Here's just... this is a piece of vintage Meadow Rue that I got to stitch Where There Are Bees on. I love this fabric. It's gorgeous, but it is 36 count. And right now, I need glasses and cheaters. The whole magnification with cheaters and my eyes don't work right. So I have my magnifying light, but it still just isn't doing what I need. So I'm afraid to try to do a 36 count project with my eyes in their current state. We really can't get new glasses until I kind of get some other physical stuff taken care of that's affecting my vision right now. So that one's kind of, I chose another fabric for that project. Oh, here's the pattern. Okay. This is, and see, everything is wrinkled because it was just not packed correctly. So this is the Prairie Schooler, Where There Are Bees. It does have a couple of ornaments on the back that's going to be hard for me to show you because it would be showing the pattern for them. And that's where I took the bee from to make the future scissor fob. So anyway, Where There Are Bees, I chose a honeycomb fabric. So this fabric is 28 count, and it already has a honeycomb pattern to it. Now the base is greenish. Green is not my favorite color. Not that you know that from anything I'm showing you. But it is one of my favorite colors. This, my understanding is, this fabric comes in 2 different tones depending upon how it dyes. Sometimes it's more of a brown base and sometimes it's more of a green base, depending upon their dyeing process at the time. And it is only dyed on one side of the fabric, so I believe it's a fabric flare. Maybe it's painted on, or I don't quite know how they do that, but I know that I have seen pieces of this in a brown tone and pieces like this one in the green. I am concerned that these colors aren't looking as great on the green. So when I was pulling the DMCs that it calls for. So I did some color swapping out with some General Arts and some Weeks, and even I stayed in the same color. Like if it was blue, it's blue. If it's pink, it's pink. If it's gold, it's gold. But I changed the tone or value, hoping that that would go more with the green base. And y'all have to let me know how I'm doing on this. So this is as far as I got, which is just kind of the top portion. The needle minder on the bottom is the letter M. It is a couple of beautiful cherub fairies, and I think the one's head got no. Okay, that was a gift to me from my friend, one of my friends. So this color around the outside is a very dark green. It does not have a lot of color variation to it. It is not that color. This one kind of all fell out of its packaging, so I have to find where everything is to it. Okay, it is that color. Okay, Deep Forest by Simply Shaker. Wow, okay. When I look at the skein in the LNS, I see variation to it. When I'm looking at it here, I don't see any variation. When I'm stitching with it, I don't see any variegation. So I'm hoping that when I get here and I start doing the bear in what is a green, he doesn't suddenly become stripy. If he does, then I plan on switching him over to a kind of charcoaly gray that I have somewhere in my stash, or I'll have to go to an LNS to pick it up. The kind of backup gold that I was thinking of was hazelnut. I decided against it because it is too brown for what I wanted. I wanted a more goldish yellow. I understand that honey can be very brown, but I wanted a more gold tone, so I went with gold leaf. And then Deep Fennel by Crescent Colors is the blues. And see, this gives me an excuse to get all this put in its bag properly, which I need to do. It's kind of the purpose of all this, is getting things back where they're supposed to be. This is a Weeks dye work, very variegated, cinnabar. One of my favorite kind of brownish pinks that Weeks makes is the cinnabar, and I love how it's making this flower look. You know, the variegation in this, I think, highlights very nicely, since there is pretty much no variegation in the green. There's a subtle variegation in the gold, and then there's kind of a mid-range variegation in the blue. So I'm liking, I think, this combination of variegation and no variegation in the same project. But please leave me your comments, what you think. Do you think it should have more variegation in kind of the greens, which is going to be the majority of this pattern, or does it kind of look okay variegated and non-variegated? I welcome, as always, any recommendations, thoughts, ideas, comments. I am still a new enough stitcher that you're not going to hurt my feelings if you tell me I don't like any of those colors. Go back to the DMCs that it calls for. You know, now, I need to put that better in the bag, but at least it's in the bag and the pattern is next to it, so that's closer. I found one of my little bags at Words, and I don't know what year this was, but this needs to be put into an ornament. What I need to do is find some different sized ornament, plastic ornaments, because I'm going to have some years that my ornament ball will need to be huge, and I will have some years that it's hardly worth putting in an ornament ball. And I don't want to mix years, because that kind of, for me, is taking the purpose out of it. So, I probably did show this combination in my previous videos, but since the scissors are here and Mr. Froggy's talking to me, he says I want to be shown again. So this is a scissor fob, oops, that my dear friend got for me when she was traveling. And it's a frog, and then he's chasing, or he's looking down at the dragonfly that he's hoping to make his dinner. And she gave me, you know, Mr. Froggy to kind of keep the frogging away. And then she gave me this pair of scissors. Yes, I know they don't match. They're pink scissors and a blue scissor fob, but they're from the same person. So for me right now, this is how it's going to be. But they're gorgeous pink and brown scissors, very sharp. They stay with this blue bag because they came from the same person. So, oh, there's the pattern to Noah. But I still do not know where the color chart is, so I can't show him his original chart. But I didn't make any changes to the colors or the stitching because I didn't know anything about that. So I just used the kit. Oh, it's called Learn a Craft 72316 Noah. So, don't fall. Okay. This is Twilight Santas. There's 2 Santas on here, and I have done one of them. I have to find him. I don't know where he's at. But this one here, I have done this one. I did change the outer color, I believe, to a yellow gold color. And I have not started this one yet. But what I decided to do is I had a friend who had cut, she had stitched on a piece of fabric. And then when she took it to her finisher, they cut out the fabric and cut out the part that they did not need, which left it basically a frame shape. And I said, please give that to me. I don't know if it's going to work. It's not done. I ran out of the DMC color that I was using. But kind of my goal is to sew around the inner portion more than what is, and frame a, kind of use this as a multimedia. So the frame mat, the mat, is going to be cross-stitched. What the mat is going to go around, hopefully, will be a photo. I'm hoping that the photo will be on a piece of wrapping paper from my mother, and then in a wood or metal frame. So I started stitching the Merry Christmas, the words from him, the Merry Christmas from him, all around the edge of my frame. And so I still have this side and this, I'm showing you the back. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. And then there's going to be space here and here. And so I'm thinking of either putting you know, beads or embellishments, or either cross-stitch embellishment or jewel embellishments. I'm really kind of wanting to lean towards something jewelry related. So I'm really wanting this to try and be my foray into a true kind of multi-faceted piece where it encompasses most of the crafts that I do. So I do some basic jewelry making, I do yarn crafts, I crochet, okay, I am trying to learn to knit. I think I just lost that needle. There it is. And what else am I doing? I do scrapbooking. I do, there's a lot of things I used to do as well, but those are kind of the active things. So I'm wanting to entail a lot of the active things I do in this piece. I don't know what photo I'll use. I don't know if I'll, and the reason why I'm mentioning the potential use of wrapping papers, I'm sure I won't have a photo big enough for that slot. So I anticipate I will have to put the picture onto something to make it big enough. And as I was afraid, suddenly everything that I laid here on this table has decided to take a run for the floor. Okay, I'm strange. I will fully admit. I am not a hoarder because I do throw things away. But if it is usable, just like that piece of fabric to me is usable, I will try and find a way to incorporate it. Now, if it doesn't work, I'll throw it away. Like, I don't have a problem with, oh, it didn't work, and it goes in the trash. But if I have very long strings or multi-strands of fibers left, I hang on to them. For things like, you know, you have a tiny motif on a sampler, you don't want to go buy a skein of yarn for, you know, 3 stitches. I probably will have a color in a bag like this that I can use. My goal would be to put these on something where it'd be easier for me to find them, but right now they're just kind of stuck in a bag. I also had started a scrap piece of fabric. I had started what I am calling bookmarks. They're not true bookmark shapes. They're just whatever scrap size fabric, and I was just kind of taking the scrap threads and just stitching to the end of the thread in any kind of random, you know, if it was a real long piece, I might make a square, or I might make a circle, or I might just go back and forth with it, or jump around. I was just filling in the surface of this quote-unquote bookmark. And I've seen a number of YouTube videos or FlossTube videos where people are trying to do like stitch a day, or stitching a stitch or a number of stitches with a piece of every fiber they've used. And so I'm kind of thinking that that's what this will end up being for me, is it will be the end of the fibers of all of my projects. I have no problem pulling out of it to put them into another kit or whip, that's fine. But just what doesn't get pulled into those will be put into, whether they're various bookmarks or various whatevers. If I can use them, get them down to Ort length, and then they go in my Ort ball, that's fine. Okay, so then the rest of what is in here is some miscellaneous needles, which is good to have. A couple of wooden sidebars, a plastic pattern stand, a little paper holder, and that's it. So there's really nothing else to show, and unfortunately all this is just going to have to go right back in this bag. because I don't have anything else here in the She Cave to organize them into by category. You know, whip versus fully stitched versus needs to be kitted. So that, unfortunately, me starting this video this way is not getting me to that stage for this first video, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. I can always do that off camera, and that's probably going to be better anyway. So it's kind of my first bag of my cross stitch that I can find, kind of an update on what's happened with me. Excuse where I've been. And I do not know how often I will make these. I don't have any idea how often I'll upload them. It depends on when I can get to the She Cave and then when I can get it uploaded. These may be pretty often. They may be far apart. As of right now, I don't have any particular plan because as I learned in 2015 and 2016, right now my health is my priority, my full 100% priority, and everything else has had to go to the back burner. So including my cross stitch, I mean, it just all has to. So as I can, I do have a goal of what I would like to do. I kind of would like by the end of August to have all of my belongings in, you know, 2 places, a storage place and the current place I'm living, and to have them fully sorted, labeled, organized with what it is, where, so that when I need it, I can get to it. You know, things stacked, like items together. Like right now I have, like, my crock pot is sitting up on top of a box of yarn. You know, I mean, it's in a box, but the box of kitchen stuff is sitting up on top of a box of yarn, on top of a box of books. And if I want the books, you know, I kind of want all the books together, all the kitchen together, all the crafts together, and then within the crafts, I want the yarn crafts, paper crafts, the needle crafts. So it's going to be a huge undertaking. I have been working on it for the last month and a half, just without any video, and that is how I have kind of found the mess that it's in. And so I decided to do the She Cave as just the place to bring a box to, sort it, figure it out, or a bag, or whatever. Sort it, figure it out, inventory it, keep, no keep, and then put it in its final organized place. So you'll be coming along with me on parts of this journey. Again, any tips that you may have, I would greatly appreciate it. If any of you have any ideas of portable storage for cross stitch, I know there are tons of freestanding options, tons of, you know, built-ins, tons of modular furniture, but I need things that are portable, either on wheels that are small enough I can break down and put in a car, or something I don't need a truck for, or a van, or an SUV to haul around, to move from one area to another for, you know, bigger quantities of cross stitch, and then also smaller portable options. You know, I thought of taking one of my old scrapbook roll-arounds and reconfiguring it for cross stitch, but really with all the, you know, little tabs and stuff it has to hold pins and scissors, that doesn't really translate to cross stitch easily for me, because then basically all I'm using is the big center, and it's a big blob, and so that's really not helpful. What I did love was my bag system. I loved having, you know, like this canvas bag that I just showed you was my going to my best friend's house and going to the Saturday stitchings. Then I had another canvas bag when I went to Tuesday and Thursday stitchings. And then I had another canvas bag when I went to my other friend's house. I had another canvas bag when I went to my third friend's house. because I worked on different projects with different people. And that's kind of how I was able to work on multiple whips at the same time. And then I had, you know, the desk, and the area around it was kind of, I had a big, a middle, and a small, and that I could use their stationery. And then I had, you know, the remainder I didn't kind of like was continuing more bags and scrapbook boxes to put the rest in. I do need to get all of my patterns gone through and see which ones have been, you know, crumpled, destroyed, whatever, get them put into page protectors and binders, or get them put into Ziploc bags and kitted up. I know I have a ton of stuff kitted up. I probably have 70 projects kitted up because I had all of Stitch Mania for 2016 and 2017 because I had already planned 2 years of Stitch Mania before I had to make that that second move. So I had already kitted up 2 years of Stitch Mania, so like 60 projects right there. And then I had some kits that I bought, I mean, a lot that was given to me. So I need to find all of that, determine what is salvageable, what isn't salvageable, kind of what maybe I can make working copies of, and then, you know, get rid of the original if the original is too, you know, if it's wet. Some things got wet, unfortunately, in these moving processes. There was damage due to things being out in the rain during the process of moving, and containers getting holes in them due to various movers, inadequate. Anyway, this is why I've always moved myself, is because then I know that if anything happens, it's me that's done it. Anyway, neither here nor there. So I'll need to make those decisions. So what I think that I will end up doing is putting patterns that do not have any accessories with them that make them really thick. I anticipate putting them into 8.5 by 11 sheet protectors to, you know, if they're half size, unfolding them, if they're too big, folding them, and do it 8.5 by 11 sheet protectors, and putting them in binders and putting them in order by designer. So I really don't have enough to separate out into, you know, 4th of July and Christmas and fall and spring and birthdays and weddings. I don't have enough in each category to do full categories. Maybe Halloween and Christmas I do, but the rest of them I don't. So that's kind of my goal. And then I want to also print off the patterns that I have in just electronic copy and integrate them in, because if I end up, you know, finding that I like to collect a certain designer, then I'll know what I'm missing from that designer if I find it on a Stash Unload or a great deal somewhere. So this organization is going to be multifaceted. It's going to take time. It's going to go through various processes and changes along the way. Anyway, this video is way too long, and thank you for bearing with me, and I look forward to seeing y'all soon. Keep stitching those memories, and have a great day.